Welcome everybody. This is a webinar hosted by the University of Southern Queensland and my name is Lynn Alderman. I'd like to welcome you to this webinar that we are recording and that we'll be putting up on our website. So welcome those who are in attendance now, and I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land in which we're meeting and pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So thank you for showing your interest in our degree. What I'm going to do is just share my PowerPoint with you. So just bear with me while I set it up. Okay. So thank you again for coming. So the Bachelor of Cyber Security is a degree that we've designed with industry for industry. So this degree is designed to address a skill shortage in the cybersecurity area. And it's also designed to assist those who may have work experience, who may be interested in getting credit for that work experience. So I'll take you through the degree. And then there's Q&A available to you to ask questions, and we'll be able to provide those questions and answer them for you either verbally online, or we will answer them and we can send information out. So this is the degree. It is an undergraduate bachelor's degree that has 3 layers. So the 3 layers, if I start at the bottom, we've got Cyber Security Technical, which is 8 credits, which in University of Southern Queensland, that is a subject. So there are 8 subjects at the cybersecurity level. Then there is a professional practice major, which is 8 subjects again, and that is what we're offering is work experience recognition for 5 to 10 years work experience. And then it has a cyber security internship. Now, this is a 12-month internship where you will be working in industry addressing cybersecurity issues. The way this degree is structured, the cybersecurity technical element, this first level, is actually available to you through IBM Skills Build industry certifications, and those are available to you for free because we have a partnership with IBM Skills Build. So the university and the IBM Skills Build have a contractual partnership. What we're interested in doing is having highly motivated applicants who are interested in, training themselves in that technical element. And what this means is when you're on the job, there will be lots of training programs that you have to get in and have a go and learn yourself. So it's really important that we have students who are self-motivated and have the ability to actually train themselves. Now, we call this non-formal credit, and credit at a university level in Australia, we're not allowed to charge for. And because IBM are giving this access to this training for free, these 8 subjects will not attract any student fees for the applicants. The second level of this degree is a professional practice major. Now, when we started this degree, we were working with veterans, and you can see here I'm talking about individual veterans experience. I'll have to update that slide because it can be any work experience. It's not just focused. When we did a trial, a pilot run, we were working with veterans, but now we're opening it up to anyone in Australia who has 5 to 10 years work experience could be eligible for credit. And this is called informal credit. There are 3 types of credit that the Australian qualifications framework allow us to provide. There's non-formal credit, which is training. There's informal credit, which is work experience, and formal credit, which is university study. So this second area, we have a portfolio where you can provide develop an e-portfolio and add your CV and all of the things that you've done in your previous work experience to build up 8 credits, which is that second level. Again, we cannot charge for credit. So these 16 credits are provided to you free of charge. We cannot charge a fee for those. So this makes it a very cost-effective qualification for you. The cyber security internship, 8 credits. There is an Australian qualification rule that for higher education providers that at least at a bachelor's level, 1/3 must be consumed at the university. So it's very important that this top level, the 8 credits, is actually what there'll be a fee attracted to that, and it's around $9,300. You'd have to go on the website, but it's around that. It's less than $10,000 for 1 year of study. Now, what we're asking is if someone, so for example, you may be already working in industry and you may be already working in an IT environment and you're interested in moving across to cyber security. So this degree is for those who are already working or those who are able to get an internship. Now, the internship is the responsibility of the applicants. The university does not have the resources to find the internship for applicants. The applicants must find the internship for themselves. So we think that there are a lot of employees out there currently working in IT and cyber who may not have a formal qualification. And I do believe that this formal qualification is for you. What we will be requiring is that as it's a competency-based learning degree, there will be a logbook, and during that internship period, that 12-month period, there'll be certain aspects of cybersecurity that we will be anticipating that applicants will be able to negotiate with their employer and their work supervisor and the academic lead, so that we can actually ensure that you have a work experience that is at level. And then there will be formal assessment that is conducted by the university towards the end of the 12-month period. So we have a 3-year degree that is 24 credits. The first level, which is cybersecurity technical, and depending on your motivation, you might be able to do that in 1 to 2 months, that is like the level, the year 1. The year 2 is your work experience that you will be able to complete again within the first couple of months, and then there's a 12 months internship. In our pilot, it is anticipated that this would take around 12 to 18 months to complete. So depending on how organised all your CVs and your experience and everything, this sometimes takes a couple of months to get through. We don't mind if it takes 6 to 12 months. There's no time limit on it, but the internship is that full year, and that's where the qualification comes through the assessment of the outcomes of the internship. So the Bachelor of Cyber Security entry requirements for 2025, there is an adjusted ATAR, which is on application that is assessed on your work experience, because we expect you to be 5 to 10 years work experience. So you'll be putting in a CV when you apply. Applicants are required to have a minimum of 5 years work experience from defence, health sciences, social science, creative arts, because what we're interested in is people from any background. So if you're successful and in attaining an internship, this is an entry pathway for you into cybersecurity, or you may already be working in cybersecurity and you'll be able to formalise your work experience through this degree. So all applicants will be interviewed by the staff from the School of Mathematics, Physics and Computing to determine the suitability for entry. So for example, it's important that the applicants have a work experience that will be close to the 8 credits for the professional practice major. However, if that's not to say that's a knockout factor, because there are other subjects that you're available to do if you need to do them to make up those 8 credits. You need to supply a letter of support of a paid internship from an employer, and we've got an expression of interest form, so we can actually talk to you about what that letter, provide a template for that letter. And for the cybersecurity industry, you need to be eligible to receive a baseline security clearance. So you're not asked to have a clearance before you come in. If you do have any type of clearance, please put that on your CV because that's of value to the industry. But you need to be eligible for baseline security. Now, the English language requirements, all universities are required to put these English language requirements up for every qualification. If you have worked for 2 years in Australia or you have studied the last 2 years in high school in Australia, and particularly in English, then you'll meet these criteria. But we still have to need to be explicit about what are the requirements. These are the different intakes. So we've got 3 intakes this year. We have year-long 1 that starts on the 10th of February. Now, the closing date is Monday the 13th, so it's coming up very soon. And so you may want to think about, so when would you like this year-long 2 is in May, year-long 3 is in September. So this will occur every year in the February, May, and September. You may want to consider how much time you want to have to prepare, because remember, we need to complete the IBM Skills Build training, which is a specific suite of cybersecurity training. We also need to get your professional practice major organised. So these 2 things may take time. So think about when you would like to consider your starting point. The IBM Skills Build industry certification. So there is a suite of certifications that are available to you. If you may come in with some of those skills, and if you have those skills and you've completed them within the last 6 months, then we can recognise those. Alternatively, with older certificates, applicants will be required to complete the certificates through the UniSQ portal to the IBM Skills Build platform. So this is just to ensure that when the degree is awarded, your skills are current. So the professional practice major. So this is where we value you as students, as applicants and potential students, and we're interested in providing formal credit. So we had someone come through before who had a music degree, and that will provide 8 credits. If you have, so you won't need the professional practice major. So you may have a diploma of business, and we can provide 8 credits recognition for a diploma. Or you may have non-formal credit, so you might have other professional training that you've completed. So we can recognise that. And then we have the informal credit, which is from your work experience. And we have staff available to assist you in preparing your e-portfolio to demonstrate your skill set against those 8 credits for the professional practice major. So the internship. So this is the area where you will be charged student fees for this area. You need to supply a letter of the paid internship from an employer and as I've said before, it is the responsibility of the applicant. So we've got a question. Hi, Victor. Do you have a question?
Yes, hello. In terms of the internship, I got a question because I have all the paperwork ready. I submit an application, but when I was submitting an application in the website for the University of Southern Queensland, doesn't let me to upload resume or anything. Just ask me for
yes.
Yeah.
And so so once you submit, we'll actually email you, and we'll be able to provide you with we'll collect those through the email system. Okay. So it was a cyber security risk, very ironic because we're in cyber. We couldn't just let you upload documents without going through a vetting system. So basically, if you upload, is this the expression of interest you're talking about, Victor? Or the application?
The application.
Okay, so send the application through, and then Samuel Whittingham is online with us, and Samuel will email you directly and receive your documents.
Yeah, I already submitted the application. I called yesterday just to verify if that was the right, because it gave me two options: cybersecurity or cybersecurity practice. So I just put cybersecurity, and I might submit another one for practice just in case, because I don't want to miss the day. So my question.
No, that's fine. Yes, and so can you put your email in
In the chat?
yes, if the chat's available to you, and then Sam will get back to you today.
No, I don't have the chat.
Don't have chat? Okay, so and don't put it you've got my, at the end of this session, you'll have my email address and you can email me directly.
We have email for no registration. Samuel just.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, so I'll get if you can email me, and I'll get Samuel to talk to you directly today.
Okay, excellent. And so
Perfect.
my question is about the internship, because I submit the application through my work placement.
Yes.
And they're happy to support me. I work in a role totally different.
Yes.
It's different. I work as a project management, so I work in different. I touch different areas, but my company have cybersecurity department.
Yes.
So they're happy to support me if I have to do some hours, but they want to understand, because they say if we put your internship, your salary pay is gonna be lower than what you have right now as a salary. So they're wondering it has to say internship, or it can
No,
be.
it doesn't have, no. So for example, the internship, this is a good question. So thank you, Victor, for that. So the word internship is the language of the Australian Qualifications Framework. So if you're, and the reason it has to be paid is that you want an employer-employee relationship, because then you want everybody under the confidentiality agreements with the, because a lot of the cyber work is, super confidential, and you want to make sure that the relationship between the employee and the employer is appropriate, and you have all of your security parameters in place. So the word internship for us means that you are under a supervised employment activity addressing cyber issues. So it doesn't have to be internship, as in a role that has an internship. It means that we want your employer to provide you with an opportunity to be working in the cyber area, of which then we've got a logbook, and there are certain things that we'll be asking you to be signing off on. So what we'll do is, when we get to the point, there'll be a negotiation between your employer, the program director, and yourself around what does that 12 months look like. But I think I think you're almost already there, because your employer is supportive of it. But I'm not sure, there's no expectation that then you would drop to an internship salary from our perspective.
Okay. Yeah, because they were saying they want to know, because at the moment my contract, I have to be full time because I'm contracted by the Commonwealth, so I have
Yes.
to do 38 hours full time for
Yes.
employment. But they say by the time this offer come, we're happy to put you in some percentage. Maybe you do part time of your job role right now, and we put you and the other hours doing the hours you need to do to culminate your degree. But we just want to know how the university is gonna track that one. It's gonna track by
Yes.
the amount of hours you spending doing cybersecurity
Yep.
activities, or they're gonna track you by the milestone, you complete this kind of project, or you complete this.
So there's a couple of ways to do it. And I think this is where we get into a conversation with your employers. So there is a cyber security logbook that there's an expectation that you will complete as you do cyber security tasks.
Yep.
And then that's signed off by your supervisor. And then there are assessment tasks for the university as well. Now, we don't mind. So for example, if you're doing it part-time, we don't mind if you're employed over 18 months or 2 years in that part-time. That's not an issue for us.
Okay.
Okay, so that if it's 12 months full-time, so that's where we're flexible, and we can actually have we can actually negotiate an arrangement with your employer, which I think is an interesting thing, because it might work really well for your employer, as well as, we want it to work well for both of you.
Yep. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Victor. I think I was up to this point. So there will be a logbook. So what's really interesting about this degree is we're not assessing when you do the 8 credits of cybersecurity industry certificates with IBM Skills Build. We're not assessing that, because what happens is when you come in and then work as a cybersecurity officer or intern, what's happening then is that you are going to be doing, you will be actually working in that area. And what we're interested in is then that you are demonstrating that you've acquired these certifications and that you did demonstrate your skill in using them. Now, you're not going to use all of them, but there will be many that you will use in a repeated manner. The other thing that we do is we have assessment tasks which come towards the end. So we expect that there's a settling down period in the first 6 months that students will be, getting to know their role and their job, and there will be some contact with the university, but not as much. There's actually no lectures, or there's no actual content delivered by the university per se. So what we're interested in is the assessment tasks and the reports that you'll be making, but also you will be asked to do an oral presentation towards the end of your 12-month period with a panel of cyber experts who are from industry as well as from the university. And then there's no way, because of the structure of the degree, and we are giving the maximum amount of credit, which is 16 out of 24, there is actually no way we can actually make the employment year shorter. It has to be a year. You need to consume 1/3 of the degree with the university. So it's very important. If we have people out there who've got 5 years work experience in cybersecurity who are interested in formalizing their qualifications, you will need to sit through and complete that year under the enrollment of the university for the degree to be awarded. So this is something that's actually, it's a minimum 12 months. It's not negotiable. You can negotiate longer by all means. That is not a problem. So there's no requirement that you must have it done in 12 months. Very happy to extend that out should that be something that the employer and the student would be interested in. Okay, sorry. So these are the forms that I was talking about before. So we've got a Bachelor of Cyber Security study page, which will take you to the degree, and we've got an expression of interest form. The reason the expression of interest form is there is this is an unusual, not unusual. Usually you just apply directly to the university, but then people may have some questions about the internship, how to negotiate that with an employer. So there might be some interest there. So what we would like to do is make sure that we can support you as much as possible. So Samuel Whittingham is the project officer for the Bachelor of Cyber Security, and he will be handling all the expressions of interest forms and the interviews and the process that we're going through. So it's really what we need to do is we need to know who you are so that we can talk with you directly and support you in this process. So it's not we're not trying to make anything difficult. We're trying to make it really simple. But what we would like to do is to people to register their interest. Even if you're not prepared to start right now, we're very keen to talk to people who are available, who are interested in speaking to us about the May and September entry points as well. You can start, because we can start early. You don't need to be, we can start with the IBM Skills Build as soon as you like, actually. I'm going to stop sharing there. Okay, so I'm just going to ask Sam. So Samuel, can you come on and introduce yourself, and then just ask, tell me what I've missed in all my presentation.
Hi, Lynn. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the presentation, and Victor as well for your questions. If there's any other questions, please feel free to use the FAQ or Q&A function. So yeah, I'm Samuel Whittingham, Evaluation Coordinator here at University of Southern Queensland. And I just see our industry partner Neil has also just dropped in. But yeah, so feel free to, if you're ready to apply and you've got everything, there is the apply button on the UniSQ website. But that expression of interest form is really useful for providing advice. And if you'd like to stay up to date with what's going on as well. I guess just a couple of quick things, Lynn. There isn't a requirement to be on campus. So that is something that's come up. It is able to be done fully remote. You'll
Yes.
have to, for the work component, the internship employment part, obviously that'll be negotiated with the employer as well. But as far as UniSQ, there's no requirement for any on-campus classes or anything like that. So it's probably the main thing, Lynn, that I just noticed. It probably didn't get mentioned.
Yeah, so so the work arrangements, you're working from home or working in the office, that's an employer-employee negotiation. But we at the university, we can do everything remotely. There's no reason to be on campus unless you'd like to graduate and go to a graduation ceremony at the end. Neil, would you like to introduce yourself and talk about why you're interested in supporting this degree?
Well, I can. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.